subscribe, please click the like button, share and subscribe. It's free.
Now, Colonel, last afternoon when we adjourned, I asked you a question and we went on some explanation, but I think the answer was lost in translation. I asked you whether in your office have you given your findings to, or your examination and comparison to a peer reviewer who differed with your opinion? Has that happened?
My Lord, as I've answered yesterday, I said I gave it to 4 of my colleagues and all of them agreed to my findings.
Yeah, Colonel, but what I'm asking you, I'm not speaking specifically about this case. I'm saying in your experience, the 29 years or so as a ballistic expert, and now as a senior specialist in that office, have you given your work in another case, not this case in particular, where you, for example, your finding was one of inclusion, that is a match, and then you gave to somebody who peer reviewed and said it's an elimination or it's inconclusive. Has that happened?
My Lord, as I can recall, there's no case that I did where we differed. Where in some instances where there's differences, where maybe I made it positive and somebody will say, but I'll make it inconclusive. But not where I made it positive and somebody made it negative. It has never happened with me.
And in simple terms, as we established yesterday, inconclusive means doubtful. Either it is or it is not. So you cannot positively say it is the firearm that fired this bullet, or you cannot positively say it's the firearm that did not fire this bullet. Is that correct?
In the sense that when you say inconclusive, it might be that you are saying all the class characteristics are there, but I cannot see the individual, or I cannot see sufficient individuals. Unlike when you say it's inconclusive and I don't see any, well, you say I don't see any, meaning it can be negative.
No, I'm not speaking about in that term. So remember, I went with you through 2 examples yesterday where I say, let's say, for example, in our expert's conclusion, he says this, he sees discernible matching class characteristics. He doesn't see any. And he says further, I also see individual characteristics, but they are not of the threshold that is required for me to conclude that there is sufficient agreement. Therefore, I'm going to come to a conclusion that is inconclusive.
As long as you say, my Lord, there is sufficient, there is agreement.
Yes.
When you say there is agreement,
yes,
you can see the similarities.
Yes.
If they're not sufficient for you, they're not sufficient for you.
Yes.
But for me, if I'm saying I see the individual characteristics, which indicates to me that this is positive, I'll make it positive.
I said, when we were talking about your training, your experience, and your background, I made this proviso or the rider that determination of a conclusion, whether an inclusion, elimination, inconclusive, or insufficient for determination, it's made based on your training, experience, and background. But further, the important rider is that test, that determination is subjective. So it's subjective to you that this is positive. It's got 6, now you've added 1, it's got 7 matching striae. He says it's inconclusive because I see the best characteristics that match to the T, but the striae do not match for me enough to make a determination that is a match. So the test is subjective. That's the basis of my question.
Sorry.
Yes.
You say that the test is subjective.
Yes.
Meaning even the result is subjective.
The results are subjective as well.
You know, if you look at my eyes,
yes,
I was reading 5 books,
yes,
on ballistics.
yes.
I can just tell you,
yeah.
They say the test is scientific.
My lord.
No, fine. We don't argue. I'm just saying the books on which I was piercing on, they say it is scientific. But if you say subjective and then you exclude scientific, fine. But I'm just saying that's what they say.
My lord, they say the test is based on 2 labs. One is the scientific part. But
see, at least you are including scientific.
And scientific and also subjective.
Yeah,
and
fine.
I refer the court to...
No, fine, we're agreed. If you say it's scientific and subjective,
yes.
I don't have a problem.
Okay, thank you.
But you said subjective.
Okay.
Meaning this plot, Mokhotleng.
Okay.
If he says it's right, it is right.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes. Now, let me go back to the test and the comparison and the findings of Captain Sireo that you said he worked on TB4 and TB8, and therefore he looked at the striations there, and then he confirmed that there was also a match, thereby verifying your conclusions, your findings, correct?
That's correct, madam.
Now I want to find out, Colonel, from the 8 tests that you conducted, you marked them TB3 to TB10, correct?
That's correct, madam.
Now, of those 8 tests, which ones were marked? Which ones were FMJ bullets? Was it 3? Was it 4? Was it 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10? Which ones were FMJs?
My lord, I can't recall which ones I've marked them TV3 to TV10, unless if I have to check them first.
It's imperative for us that you check, because I want to verify some aspect with you on that. So it's important that we know which ones were FMJs in those tests that you conducted.
Understood, Jen. No, my lord, it will be very quick. TB7 and TB8 are the FMJs.
Okay.
TB7 and TB8, what are our FMJ?
Thank you, Kenan. You know the reason why I'm asking you which ones were FMJ? You stated that Warrant Officer Rulofsen has fired TB1, TB2, which are FMJs, correct?
That's correct.
This is actually
TB1 and TB2.
TB1 and TB2.
And then you also fired FMJs from PNP, if I understood very well. And then you sent that, or you determined that the FMJs do not impart sufficient marks where you can make a comparison because they are a harder compound bullet. Is that correct?
That's correct.
FMJ, she's supposed to
Now here we see there's a combination of 7 and 8, the combination which is FMJ, and yet Serrero made a combination tests which are 4, we know that it's a CMJ, and 8 now, we know that it's an FMJ. You understand where I'm going to? Because the FMJ, you said number 8, TB8, doesn't impart sufficient marks to make a conclusion that you can make an identification, whether a match, elimination, or whatever, because it's a harder compound. Yet Serrero goes to the harder compound and says, I have found also matches on that bullet.
My lord, it does not mean if it's FMJ, it won't produce any marks. It will produce some of the marks.
Yes.
But the marks on, even if you can shoot 2 FMJs, one after the other, their marks will not be exactly. Some of it you will see that, you can see that, but they are fainting somewhere. So it depends on how the marks were transferred to that bullet. You can get the same type of bullet shot in the same firearm. One has more clear marks, but the other one does not have more clear marks.
Now, if I understand your explanation now, all that you are saying is that marks are not consistently transferred or imparted to the bullet. Is that my understanding of your answer?
That's correct, Maro. That's why we don't shoot one test. You shoot 2 or more tests if you're doing a comparison. So that the other bullet, if it doesn't have the clearer marks, you can use the detached one to do that. In this instance, that's why I used a number of them, so that I can do a lot of comparison on those other bullets.
Sorry, how many did you shoot?
I shot 8. That's correct, Maro.
Okay.
And on that score, is that an industry standard that says how many, a minimum of tests that you must fire to make an examination and comparison and a maximum, or are you allowed to shoot until the zenith you find is a mark that you are looking for?
I think khona yini into esetshenziswayo ukuthi umhlolo ukuthi uma umuntu umhlola udubula mhlambe khona isibalo esibekelwe sona ukuthi udubule kangaka noma udubula nje wena kaninginingi ufike la wena onenelisekayo ukuthi yaqala sefa
The minimum that we shoot is 2 in the firearm, but the maximum, we don't have a maximum that we can shoot only up to this. It will depend on you if you are satisfied with the mark that you found in your test.
Now coming to this test of Sereo and pertaining especially to TB8, as I said yesterday, and I accept your explanation to say the main case is yours. You are the one that is making the examination, the comparison, and the finding. Sereo only reviews your work and he comes to his own findings. But now my issue is this. If you did not find sufficient marks on 8, it goes back to my question of yesterday to say, whilst I understand that the reviewer does not make charts like you have made charts for the court here, is it acceptable for us to go and ask Reo to make charts for us so that we can see the marks that he said he saw on 8, so that our expert also can go and verify the same number 8 again and see if he can find marks that are consistent and that are meet the threshold of a match?
My lord, it's not that I failed to make a positive ID on the test with the 8 or 4.
Yes.
I chose 5 and 9 when I did that because I saw better marks on 5 and 9. And if Cyril was doing the same test, he saw better marks on 4 and 8. So I cannot say that because Cyril, I used 5 and I must give him strictly 5 and 8 to compare with.
Hence my point when I asked the question about subjectivity, that although scientific, the second level is subjectivity. On the subjective level, on number 8, you didn't see sufficient marks. Cyril sees sufficient marks on 8. Hence I alluded to the test of subjectivity as well. The criteria of subjectivity when you're doing the comparison.
I don't think that's what the witness said.
Yeah,
The proposition is put that he didn't see sufficient marks, but the witness says he saw better marks. The two concepts are not the same.
But no, the one, Mr. RAMOSEPELE,
Yes, sir.
just be clear.
Yes.
Are you imputing to the witness that he directed Serrero or Sefularo
Yes.
to 4 and 8?
No. The witness,
wait.
the witness said yesterday, my lord, already.
No, I'm talking about
Okay.
now.
Okay.
That's how you pose the question. as opposed to Serrero himself choosing out of his own free will 4 and 8. What is your real question?
My Lord, I stick by the answer that he gave yesterday. I gave
But I'm
Cyril
asking the
3
question,
and
sir.
8 yesterday. Cyril,
No, forget about this.
yes.
I'm asking you now.
Now, it's still the same.
What
Cyril had 8 bullets. He selected for 8 himself. He selected himself, Cyril,
Cyril.
not the colonel directing Cyril to 4 and
Yeah,
8.
so he didn't direct.
Yes.
That's it, fine.
Yes.
That's clear now.
My Lord, as I said, I fired 8 tests. I compared them. I chose 5 and 9 to make an ID on it.
Yes.
And took all the 8 of them, gave it to Lieutenant Colonel
Yes.
Serrell to do his comparison. With all those 8, he chose 4 and 8. So I cannot say for him, you must choose 5 and 9 because I used 5 and 9. I gave him all of them. So it's his choice whether he chose 5 and 8 or he could have chose any other. He chose 5 and 8 and he used them for comparison.
4 and 8.
And he came to the same conclusions. Okay?
Joban should have been today. I'm in Tabezo 8. And then Gatin must have touched the cabinet. They told number 8 and 9. Over one I said, if I was a bonaga, that's a zombie is in town. Now, what you must have touched the end, I was a number 44 and 8 and 9, which I would have getting to be now.
And when you gave him the 3 to 10, TB1, TB3 to 10, did you tell him that you have an inclusion, a match, not on a specific 5 to 9, but did you tell him I've got a match amongst these 3 to 8?
My Lord, I did my comparison. After doing my comparison, after I came to the conclusion that this bullet is positive to this, I just gave them the test and the bullet to him, said, can you confirm this microscope for me? And I left him alone. So he did all the testing alone. And after he came to the conclusion, he came to me and said, no, this bullet is positive with the tests.
Okay. Okay, let us move on, Colonel. Yesterday you testified, or the day before, you testified that you tested other firearms besides the Beretta that was found to be eliminated, and then you tested the exhibit firearm in this case. How many other firearms did you test for this case, 63610 of 2014?
My Lord, I tested the Beretta 92 FS Compact, the same one that we're talking about. The second firearm that I tested was the 9mm Parabellum 6 Sauer with serial number uniform 385931.
Is that all?
No, my Lord. I've also received the 9mm shot CZ83, of which is negative also.
And what are the lab numbers for the 6-hour 9mm Parabellum and the 9mm CZ83 that you eliminated?
My lord, it's the same lab number, it's the same case number. They came under the same case number.
Singene ngayo le case efanayo. Case yona leyo.
And what were the source of origin of these two firearms? Where did they come from?
Can you rephrase the question?
Where did they come from? From whom did they come? Were you told?
I don't know, my lord, from whom were they. Because I only received them because they had the same case number. They were sent to me to be compared with this.
All right.
And in addition to that, my lord, there was a list of there was a list of 16 cases where they were requested to compare this bullet with those other exhibits from the other 16 cases. And that was done by somebody else, and all of them were negative to the bullet.
To the bullet.
Family, I've just listened to this guy. This Ballistic Mangena, I don't know, he's full of himself. Where on earth, even people who hold PhD, doctrine, whatever qualification you could think of, they always have a bin on their side, whereby when they write something, they make a mistake. I'm talking of people who have been in university for years and who have practiced in whatever field with so much experience. They still make mistakes. Even judges, they make big mistakes. How about Mangena? Mangena has never made a mistake. He's telling the court in everything that he's been doing, it's been 100%. There's never been a mistake. What is this guy telling the world? Everything, every test that they did, whoever was helping, they always come with 100% results. This is the arrogance that I see from this guy. He's showing his arrogance that here they're here to prosecute these 5 people for apparently no reason. Where on earth where you don't make mistakes? This guy is being arrogant. Family, what do you think about somebody who's like this? He contradicts himself. There's a lot that he's doing. And the judge, when he sees that, once the judge sees that, oh, this guy now is put in a certain corner, the judge will jump in just to help him out so that he can have a little bit of breathing. Then again, I don't know. The judge is on the defense side. He's a prosecutor. He's a judge. He's whatever you can call that judge. He's doing everything. When in the media they said this is mockery, he came there and said, oh, I have seen newspapers, they have written a certain article about what is happening here, it's a mockery. He can't even realize that he is the one who's causing all these kind of things. Family, what do you think about this judge? Is he taking us anywhere? Family, let's leave a comment respectfully, and please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Let's continue to expose the shenanigans that are happening in that court until we win, because there's no way we cannot win. Bravo, bravo, family.